Good morning, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be in Delhi. The atmosphere is completely different in all senses. But the motivation that we get here is unparalleled. Uh, Today we are meeting for Rise Retail India Summit and Expo. This is the fifth edition for the summit. Although we have been doing Delhi Retail Summit over the last decade or so, but ever since we coined Rise, year after year, we have seen the number of partners, delegates, and speakers also, increasing positively. So that's a good sign of, more and more inclusiveness. So we have got representations from retailers who are from one stores to thousand stores. So that's the representation that Rise has today. Apart from that, we have got almost all the categories present. We have got the regional, local players as well as national and international players who are here today amongst us. Uh, what Rohit ji and Lalit ji did speak, and obviously Kumar also mentioned, we are here for something which is very, very, very fascinating when numbers like 4,200 or 500 per capita GDP, etc., are being discussed. So it's just a matter of half a decade or so, or maybe 7 years or so, that we reach those numbers. But today we are going to discuss about going beyond traditional norms and what retailers are doing differently to ensure growth and expansion. A short paragraph, a precursor to this would be, the world has witnessed abrupt shifts across industries. The retail industry has seen no exception, with companies focusing more on customer experiences rather than ending the store customer journey after a purchase. As internet speeds and technology evolves, the shopping experience changes and has changed. People now had the option or now have the option of making purchases just a swipe of their finger while using a smartphone. Social media platforms such as FB capitalized on this, used its portal, Instagram, and WhatsApp to give companies a platform to directly reach out to the customer and give them a direct shopping experience. तो बॉस मेरे को डायरेक्ट व्हाट्सएप से ही सब कुछ करना है एंड देन व्हाई डू आई नीड ऑल दिस थिंग बट दैट्स द रियलिटी एंड वील टॉक मोर अबाउट इट सब्सिक्वेंटली. But does this impact the physical store? What are the companies doing differently to retain customers? Are we witnessing a renaissance in customer retailer relationship? And these questions are going to be part of a fun panel discussion where all the distinguished individuals are there in front of us, will share their insights. But I have decided, after when I heard Rohit Kumar Singh ji and Lalit ji and Kumar, I've decided that this discussion would be more on words. And the words that I have chosen is growth. Okay, growth, expansion, uh, traditional norms, and so on and so forth. So with this, I take this opportunity to ask the esteemed panel, and we'll start with Dhruv. How we are going to play this is we'll ask our esteemed panel to just give a brief, succinct idea about what their business is and succinctly, and then we will jump into the questions about the current status of their business, what's the impediments, and how they are going to grow. So this is a growth strategy session, friends, and let's start with Dhruv.
Okay, so you put me in the hot seat straight away. So good morning, everyone. I think it's still good morning. Yes, very much so. So nice to be here, and thank you to you and to ROI for putting this great event together. Forever New Apparel is a 200 crore plus company. We are Australia based, and we have about 40 stores in the country across 30 cities, which also includes another 45 shop and shops with Shopper Stop, Capsons, and a few others. We consider ourselves as the forerunners in bridge to luxury women's apparel and accessories. We like to say that we have very little competition today. That's also because of our classic styling and quality, which I can very confidently say no other brand in the country has been able to match so far. So this gives us a huge winning edge over our competition, and we are enormously loved and adored by our consumers for the last 14 years in India. And we continue to sort of work hard with them to improve our product, to improve our styling, get the right products in the right stores. And we are constantly learning, as you know, has come up in previous conversations. So if you look at the challenges in the past, if I can continue on that front, in terms of what are the learnings and what are we going to be doing.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what we'll
so-
do, you can continue.
Yeah.
So we'll give the introduction and then we start with the challenges, because the next session,
Okay.
the next part of the
Yeah.
panel will talk about the, the growth strategies.
So ours is a bridge to luxury brand. So our challenges would be different. Our strategies in the market would be very different from, say, the other brands over here. And I think each company or brand would have its own unique solutions and its unique place in the sun to see how it can talk to its consumers in the best possible way. I think that's, we should carry on from there.
Yeah. Manish, please. Thanks, Dhruv. Yeah.
So hi, morning everybody. Thank you for having me here. Thank you Hitesh and the RAI team for organizing this, and thank you for all of you guys to be here as well and listening to some of us talk. It's not easy to just listen to people talk, so thank you for paying so much attention as well. Look, I have the fortune of representing Kama Ayurveda today. Kama Ayurveda is a homegrown brand. It was founded with the vision of taking Ayurveda to the world and using Ayurveda to give solutions to the daily beauty, hair, and skin issues that people have. So it's a very solution-based thought process. The second thing about Kama, which is very, very critical to understand, is that it's based on a philosophy of Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is at the core of not just the product, but the philosophy of the brand. It's about the balance between beauty and nature and between mind and soul. So the whole brand is built around that. It's been a decade since we started opening stores. We have about 60 stores today and 75 shop-in-shops. When we started, people hardly knew about Ayurveda as a beauty solution, or wellness was a very new category in the business. Today, we are in the right place at the right time, I think. It's a growing, especially COVID has accelerated the trend towards wellness and well-being and nature and natural products. So that's where we get the advantage, right? More than anything, I would like to say that what we believe in doing is really keeping the consumer and the consumer issues at the core. And we believe in a philosophy which we say our products and the brand is kind to you, kind to your skin, and kind to the nature. And I think that's from where we built everything. So that's just a brief introduction about Kama. I think we will touch upon the challenges and the opportunities that exist. And India, as everybody's mentioned, is a market with a lot of opportunities and huge number of opportunities and huge number of areas that you can go into. What Lalitji said very well, focus is a very, very critical factor to succeed in India, to know where to focus and what to let go. So we'll talk about it as we go along.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Manish. Gunjan, over to you, please. Gunjan.
Thank you. Thanks, Hitesh. Hi, everyone. This is Gunjan from Bata. I don't know whether I need to introduce Bata to all of you, right? So I'll ask you a slightly different question. How old is Bata in India? Any guesses? I heard 100. Any other guesses?
60, 70, 75?
60, 70, 75. He took 3 turns, right? So disproportionate weightage of votes. It's about 90 years plus. By the time we hit per capita 4,500, we will hit 100 years, right?
Excellent.
But but just to give you a few facts, right? It has got, now we are nudging towards almost 1,700 stores. It's got a very large network. Obviously, we are the footwear of choice. With due respect to my colleague out here, right? And obviously with very respectable competition all across the country. It has evolved over the times, over the years, and it keeps growing, right? And now we are a 3 billion market cap company in India. We are nudging towards 1,000 crore turnover every quarter, and obviously continuously expanding. To keep it short, Hitesh, I think the challenges that I see are, at least from my perspective, and maybe for many of the people out here in this room, right, are on 2 fronts, right? One is that there is an aspirational India. and there is continuously upgrading aspirations. They are moving really fast. It is a question of how fast we can catch up to it. And it's moving not only in a certain part of the country, which is where we are sitting in Gurgaon or Delhi, but it's moving across the length and breadth of the country. Even in the smallest of villages, the kind of access that people have to information, and therefore the kind of options that people desire and the kind of aspiration that takes off, it is immense. That's a different challenge, that with the kind of brand that we have, how do we make sure that we are not only catering to this aspiration on one end, but simultaneously also making sure that we are available to them. So that's where I'll leave the challenge.
Thanks, Gunjan. Yeah,
Hi everyone.
Amit.
So I'm representing La Marche today just out of complex because of the introduction by Bata. La Marche is owned by the DS Group, which is also 93 years old as far as their operations are concerned. So since I've gotten that out of the picture, we are a premium grocery supermarket. Thankfully, since this is being organized in Delhi NCR, unlike Bombay, I don't really need to make much of an effort to actually talk about my brand. Hopefully, most of you all are aware. I know that majority of the stakeholders on the stage are. We thrive on variety and experience, and our operations are significantly different from any other supermarket, as I would want to believe, simply because a large percentage of our merchandise, maybe about 95 to 97% plus, sells at MRP, right? Which is not something that you'd associate with any other grocery brand in the country. Either there will be deep discounting or people talking about a mid-path. We fundamentally believe that it's not because of the fact that we don't want to give value to our consumers that we are not in the discounting game, but given the gross margins in the business and our understanding of the category, that's how we seek to operate to be able to maintain a sustainable business. There are enough and more case studies in the market regarding grocery retail, which will tell you that perhaps this is the right and more calibrated approach that we've taken. Because of this fact, experience becomes our core differentiator. That's something wherein we seek to drive home the advantage of La Marche by bringing the product experience to life. That's really a clear motto, and I'll speak about it as we go ahead. Typically, in terms of the challenges, I like to focus only on the post-pandemic period, because honestly, before that, to us, or at least to me, leading the business of La Marche, it appeared to be fairly easy, right? We had to just maintain the store's look and feel, ensure that we were giving a great experience, and we were getting good numbers. Post-pandemic, one, the competitive intensity has significantly increased because people felt it's a business which will not shut down even in times of pandemic. Sadly, I don't think that they really realize the gross margin pressures which are there. Also, whilst the consumer evolved overnight and pivoted to a more digital way of life, we understood as a business that the employees will not evolve overnight, right? And therefore, there will always be a lag in terms of our adoption to digital. So whilst we have done that, it has clearly been a tough ride, and we continue to learn each day. But that's a challenge that we are committed to overcome in the days to come and make La Marche a truly omni-channel organization.
Thanks, Amit. Lalit ji, please. Okay. Anupam, please.
So first of all, thank you, Hitesh. Thank you, Rai, for getting us over. And definitely, while I'm here to share learnings, also to learn from all of you on this forum. To introduce Liberty, I would like to say that we are as old as a lot of fellow people. We actually started the company in '64, which was purely into export, and with the inspiration of some of the members on the panel, especially Bata. Bata was a real inspiration to give birth to Liberty, because that was the only international brand of footwear in the country, and Liberty took a challenge to at least have some domestic brand into the country. And I think I proudly say that we featured quite well since then with such tough competition, and we could evolve beautifully. I think it has been a great journey. We introduced into domestic market in '82, and since then it has been a great journey to set up large stores. We have been constantly evolving. With a lot of experience comes the aging. I think the biggest challenge for brand or old brands like us would be to, with experience, how do we keep on becoming younger year on year, and learn constantly from traditional brick and mortar to the digitalization, which has been the key topic. How do we evolve ourselves for the new generation consumer, the millennials, which are getting added the kind of aspirations, and still be a great value for money brand. People don't pay unnecessary price for the Indian brands, and I think that's a constant challenge. How do we become aspirational and deliver the right margin model for the business?
Thanks, Anupam. Over to you, Laliji.
Thank you, Hitesh. So let me also formally introduce myself. I'm not as oldie as they are. I'm a young adult. So my company is operating for last 20 years. We set up our first store in Ahmedabad in 2003. And as of today, we are operating 3 brands, V-Mart, Unlimited, and LimeRoad, which took over in the last 1 year. So LimeRoad is an online channel for us. Unlimited is a chain which is operating in South India that we acquired from Arvind, and V-Mart. So altogether, we are operating 412 stores as of today across 27 states in 258 towns and cities of India. Our business model is largely catering to the young and the youth population for their fashion needs in the small town, which is tier 2, tier 3. Largely, we are focused towards tier 2, tier 3. And that's where we believe a lot of growth is going to come in from. And that is where a lot of growth has come in for V-Mart. Today, V-Mart is a listed entity. It has a market cap of more than 5,500 crores. It is definitely getting a lot of accolades. And we just got which I'm proudly saying that we got a Golden Peacock Award right now in London, so which is given by the Ministry of Internal Development. So what I'm trying to here say is what our fundamentals are, like rightly to have that governance internally in the company, and also try and look at that India which is really value conscious. And that's where we are focusing on. And that is what I think will definitely bring growth for not only for me, but most of the retailers in India. And if you can understand, most of the conglomerates and most of the big houses are also targeting the similar value retail space in the entire India. And that is what our forte has been. We have been very, very strong in the smaller towns, especially Uttar Pradesh, Bihar has been our biggest market. So when you grow up to this size today, we have more than 10,000 people working in our organization. And that's where what I was talking on the stage as well at that time was, how do we create that seamless integration between what we wish to give versus what we can really offer as of now, and how do we collaborate all those two along with the people, process, as well as technology. So I think largely, I don't see a lot of challenges externally or outside us. I see a lot of challenge within us. So that's where I am, and that's what I think we should be able to focus on and try to improve on every day in, day out, and see what all can we say no to and how much we can say yes to.
That was awesome, Laliji. Thanks. So at the end of round 1, what I can conclude here is we have got representations, as all of you can see, from footwear, from Ayurveda wellness category, from apparel lifestyle category, from value category, from food and grocery. Couple of things that have come up here are internal challenges. Okay, what Lalitji just mentioned. It's more internal and less external. We also heard about digitization, what obviously Amit and Anupam did mention about. We also heard about what Manish and Dhruv had started from the customer perspective. So customer, technology, and governance, internal and external, both. So these are some of the, I can see the challenges that we could, figure out from this first round of discussion. My question to, I will start with again, let me ask Amit, because, he spoke about a couple of those challenges upfront. How are you going to, because employee is something that you did mention, and employee is a common challenge, and across. Now, we can have a whole day of a conference only on employees and the challenges, but right now I am referring to what Amit, you mentioned. How are you planning to overcome, or what is it that you feel should be the steps to overcome this employee challenge?
Sure. So let me just also maybe enumerate with an example as to what do I mean by the challenges, right?
Exactly.
Now, cut to the pre-pandemic world, like I mentioned, life was easy because effectively we just had to ensure a good enough experience in the store for our consumers, and consumers were really thronging our stores given the numbers which were there, right? Cut to COVID, then just look at the life of how a sales executive's day in a life has changed, right? Now he needs to ensure that there is enough and more focus on home deliveries. The home deliveries are coming on calls, they are coming on WhatsApp calls, and they are also coming on WhatsApp, right? Then because of the fact that people had moved to buying digitally, we had to tie up with aggregators. So there is a tie-up with a Zomato, a Swiggy, and a Dunzo. All of these three have their own portals, right? Which have their own catalog management, have their own order management, and have their own rules, right? We then took our own omni-channel journey because of the challenges with these aggregators. So we tied up with an external provider in terms of setting up our omni-channel journey. So that means that there is another additional screen for the web store. There are orders coming in from the app. And then we felt that, oh, you know what, we are the pioneers as far as consumer experience is concerned. So we'll also pilot out conversational commerce. And then that meant that there is another additional screen. Now, the consumer has evolved, like I mentioned, but the employee has not evolved from the time that he was not even looking at one single screen to be now able to manage catalogs and order management across 10 different platforms, right? Now, we can't really let go of these employees who've been contributors to our success, and the gross margins have continued to only shrink in this category. So effectively, the means of being able to overcome this challenge has to be that we need to succeed with this employee workplace and also ensure that we are outperforming the competition given these challenges, because whoever is able to let's say, embrace these challenges better and is able to resolve these for their employees, those companies will turn out to be the winners, because the consumer is not going to change. In fact, this balance is perhaps going to become a healthier balance as we proceed, but the digital aspect of the business is not going to fade away in the next couple of years, right? So that's what, so now coming to that, I think there is an opportunity in this for all stakeholders, right? Firstly, the employees who understand and appreciate the fact that this is the way how life is going to be will outperform the other employees in the organization, and the organization will also be willing to recognize them and give them the career path that they so desire. Secondly, like I mentioned, that even from a tech stakeholder standpoint, right, companies who are able to solve these challenges for the businesses will thrive, because there are dime a dozen tech providers out there in the market, but nobody is really, at least very few are really focused on solving real business challenges, and somebody who's able to understand these will then outperform the competition. And for retailers, as I mentioned, that whoever comes out to be a true omni-channel champion will be the one who will succeed in the long term. What we've done at La Marche, apart from training, also we realized that given that the digital exposure in offline retail is increasing by the day, it also means that the auditing or the checking of these initiatives needs to be different, right? Because people were not exposed to the fact that now stores need to have digital screens. They perhaps have QR codes in our case as far as product knowledge dissemination is concerned. The upkeep of this is becoming more and more difficult. So what we've introduced as an example or a way of life is a digital audit for this, right? So there is an app that we've introduced wherein pictures are taken of the specific questions for each store that we would want answered, and the pictures can't be uploaded from the gallery, so there is a control mechanism out there. Now this gives the employees also the indication that these are the assets that need to be managed. The fact that the audit is now digital is an indication that it's a way of life, and it's real-time access to the people sitting in the controlling positions in the head office or regional offices for them to be able to navigate the corrections with the store better. Lastly, what we've also realized, and that's something that we did in the initial phases itself, is that if we want to make employees see the benefit of this, we will need to digitize something which is absolutely close to their heart. And that's how the journey of our digitization of HRM has started, right? So be it the employee policies, be it their salary slips, be it the training material, all of that has now been digitized in La Marche. It also comes with a controlling mechanism of being able to capture the fact that yes, the employee has gone through the trainings, etc. And they have been able to access the new policies which have been introduced. Since we are getting a positive confirmation of the employees at an individual level, adapting to those technologies, that has also given us the confidence that over a long period of time, we'll be able to inculcate more and more such changes in them.
Excellent, Amit. I think this was very well articulated, how internally they have digitized their whole business. And this is a major pillar for any growth, because we are talking about growth, and employees is the core to growth. So from Amit, I'll go to Dhruv, and then subsequently Manish. We'll go to the next pillar of customer. Dhruv, we'll start with you. Customer, how the customer has changed. because ultimately growth kahan se aayega? Growth will come from the customer only. So this pillar we are going to talk about the customer, how the customer has changed, and how are you going to tackle that change, Amit, and then subsequently
It's very
Manish.
valid. It's very valid. I think one thing that one of the positive fallouts of COVID has been the emergence of grit and resilience and innovation amongst employees. And in that process of trying to harvest more business in those two terrible years, I think we started to make greater efforts, faster, accelerated efforts to understand our consumer better. I think that power finally got unleashed. In Forever New, we were sitting on a loyalty program that was almost decaying over the last 5-6 years. And I use a strong word like that because we were not really harnessing it well enough, I feel, on hindsight. But once we started harnessing it and we started looking at personalization and we started understanding consumer segmentation better, we realized that there is a lot more that we could do with understanding a consumer. So we have a fairly advanced analytics on who she is, why is she shopping with us, when is she shopping, what is she shopping, what times of the year is she shopping, and what is she looking for in our brand. So today, having an active database of just 80,000 consumers in our loyalty program 4 years ago, we have more than 250,000 active consumers who are now actively engaged by us on a weekly basis. Our repeat usership today in our stores is 72%. 72% of our business is coming from repeat consumers. And online, it is as high as 45-50%. One of the things that we did in the last 5-6 months, and we will continue to strengthen that as we go along, is how to encourage the offline consumer to shop online with us. And we just did something yesterday. We had these weekly trade meetings. We are actively pushing the offline consumer to shop online because our belief is that she shop everywhere. That what came up in the slide earlier. And so why not also explore that option of having a shop, online also. I'll give you an example. I shop a lot. I'm sort of infamous for it, which is the adventure cycling piece. So there's a bike shop in Yusuf Sarai. The guy there sends me a PDF every week. So these are the new cycling jerseys that have come. Last time you missed out. Now, when we talk about breaking tradition, there's a very famous movie called Fiddler on the Roof. There's a song called Tradition in that. Hear that song. Tradition is what keeps you together. And India is a very touch and feel market. You've got to keep some traditions of personal service together, and that's what gets the business. Now, this guy sends me a PDF every 1 week of all the latest brands, products that are being launched. All I have to do is click on it and tell him to deliver at home. The guy comes and he delivers. So these are lessons that we must take from our daily lives back to the office. Last night at 8 o'clock, I needed something very urgently from La Marche, and the guy delivered it at 8:30 without complaining.
Congrats, Amit, and to you also.
It was great experience.
Thank you for the validation.
It was a great experience. And Modern Bazaar also does the same. Okay, so you have competition. So the thing is, these are learnings, guys, we must bring from our day-to-day lives. We are also employees and consumers back to work, the practical stuff of life. And that's what we're trying to do at work, to understand our consumer better. The second thing, obviously, we have done is we have unleashed Omni 2 years ago with Myntra. We were one of the first fashion brands on the Myntra platform to become Omni in December 2020. And today, we are one of the fastest growing brands on Myntra, the number 2 brand, actually. Number 3, I think the challenge that we face is with people. There is a talent crunch. There are enough people in the world, but people are confused, especially the young managers. The speed of change is too high for them. And the speed of change is also high for the senior management because you have to juggle with so many other challenges. There are so many more stakeholders. So the biggest challenge today for us is how do we upskill the young talent, keep them engaged, and attract more talent, and also continue to grow the senior leadership's mindset towards how to get more business. So recently, last week, we also reframed our vision because post-COVID, consumers have changed. They've become more discerning. They become things like sustainability have become conscious, like you mentioned. have become very, very big things in their mind. And the value of money has assumed a new dimension. Our product costs 9,000 to 12,000 rupees, a simple dress. But what she demands from that product is now far more superior styling, far more superior innovation in fabric, in fashion, more in trend. How do you interpret that and bring back to your business? That's the next big challenge. So managing all this is not easy. There are many balls up in the air at any point in time. And for us, and for me personally, I think people are not just nation builders, they're also company builders. And in all this talk of digitization and the electronic media and all that we do, employees are the ones who are going to take the business forward. Are we really investing in their growth, in their sense of happiness? One of the things that we mentioned in our vision was how do we, our job is to make a woman consumer, arouse the femininity in her and make her feel empowered. So one of the questions I'm asking is, are our employees feeling empowered? Because only if they're empowered, and 60% of a company is women. So the leadership is women also. So how do we make them feel more empowered? So these are challenges that are there. And how do you address them is very important.
How do you?
Because in all this digital landscape, you're going to forget, people don't know how to use. I was telling you earlier, we have people here who know how to fly a MiG-21. You give them an F-16, they don't know how to operate it or to harness the best out of it.
So currently,
that's what's happening today.
Yeah. So currently we are flying MiG-21s, and we have been given Rafales or F-16s to fly, and we have no clue about it. Well put. Well put as a challenge, Dhruv. Manish, how has the consumer changed, and how the consumer is changing?
Ask everyone to please come forward. There are seats available here.
Couple of seats are here as well. Yeah, Manish, please. Sorry.
So, look, there's a lot that Dhruv has said, which is very true, right? Consumer was and has been changing over the years. What COVID has done is increase the pace of that change, which means consumer was becoming more aware of what was happening with your brand, what was happening globally, what are the trends globally, and how things are evolving globally. But what COVID has done is, has brought technology to the forefront from them. Now, once technology has come to the forefront, the awareness levels of a consumer has gone to another level, has risen to another level. Now, look at it this way. We have 500 million mobile users in the country, and their access to internet is through the mobile. There's a study done. 80% of the consumers start their shopping journey or buying journey on the screen. Out of them, those 64% still close that journey offline, right? Of the total. But that's a huge number of people who are starting their journey online. So what happens is this consumer, once they walk into your store, know about your products to a large extent, know about what is coming up, and know what's happening globally, sometimes better than your store staff does. And that becomes a big challenge, right? Second thing that is happening is because of all this awareness, they are becoming more demanding of the brands. They're becoming more demanding of the amount of money that they spend. So the price value equations are changing. And that's leading to the next level of challenge. And third thing that is happening is with the COVID, the consumers become a lot more conscious, which I was talking to Dhruv about earlier. They're conscious of not just their own well-being and their family's well-being, but they're also conscious about the impact that is being created on the society, on the environment, and especially the younger consumer, right? More and more. So these three challenges have made it imperative for the brands to rethink how they talk and engage with this consumer, right? Digital has to happen. Right, definitely. There's no other way about it. It's not digital or physical. It's digital and physical, physical and digital. There's no other way about it. But what is more important, and I believe more and more that we go back to, in this world where everything is about instant gratification, what organizations and brands need to do is take a step back and invest. Invest in building the brand, building the connections and engaging the consumer, and invest in the people. Because technology, products, anything tangible is replicable in today's world within months. What is not replicable is the brand that you create, the experience that you create, and the people that you have, and how you invest behind those people. And that's where the real game will change. I'll take simple examples. We have a very young team in Kama Ayurveda. It's a young brand. We have people who have shown the caliber to think beyond today's product, right? And we have got these people put into new roles, getting them trained with international trainers on product, on this thing, and putting them into roles of leading product development, right? Wherever you see this opportunity, it's important to invest behind it. And that's where and this was mentioned, HR systems come in play and HR processes come in play. So strategic imperatives become brand and people. And digital, your stores, your online, your omni-channel are tools to achieve these strategic imperatives. And that's the way that we have to start thinking. And that's where the real change will happen and the success will come for the brands.
Thanks, Manish. Very insightful. Gunjan, over to you. Bata, you started with Bata, the history. Everybody knows this. What are the growth challenges and opportunities for Bata in the coming?
No, absolutely. I think whether it's a challenge or whether it's an opportunity, there are two sides of the same coin, right? And while I think the esteemed colleagues have spoken a lot, I can see that the aspiration is dramatically changing. And the challenge that is there in at least in my case, is that our network is so large that there is significant divergence across various cohorts of consumers, and all of them are wanting to aspire and move up the ladder, right? And many more consumers who are not even in my fold right now. So the question is that how do I make sure that that consumer who is right now basically wanting to aspire towards, let's say, the best in class, right, sitting in the metros, etc., how do we get them much better experience? They are coming back into the stores with a vengeance. They want the physical touch and feel, as someone mentioned, right? But they are carrying the hangover of the entire digital exposure and the aspiration that has triggered. Simultaneously, you have the entire middle town India, and that is also aspiring and wanting to get much better. Their exposure has gone up, 50, 60% mobile penetration. If nothing else, they are getting exposed to what lifestyle is in the world around. And they are not limited to their smaller towns, etc. And lastly is, as I said, a whole bunch of, hinterland India, which is basically wanting to upgrade itself. So we are trying to do multiple things. We are working on basically trying to make sure that, we get best in class products, we upgrade the experience, we bring in designs, etc., which are basically appealing. The challenge that is there is that how do we turn around some of these things fast enough? Because many of these things are fashion in and fashion out. And we have to make sure that we are able to have that agility in the supply chain, which, Lalit talked about, is very, very critical if we want to tackle this, leverage the opportunity without carrying the blowback of, obviously, the negatives that come with some of this, right? Simultaneously, I think the other piece that is there is that we need to also refine our business models in terms of how do we try and penetrate into some of these consumer cohorts into smaller town India, etc., where there's an aspiration, where people want better branded, better quality products, right? But how do we make sure that, in my case, let's say Bata is available, right? We are able to put up economical business model driven stores which can be driving in those kind of cohorts, which were earlier limited, and which we have now opened up through the entire, franchise model, and which is expanding at a very fast pace for us now, and adding at a clip of almost now, hopefully 100 plus stores every year, right? So these are various things that we are trying to do on one end. The other piece, I think, has been well talked about is employees, and I think I would more than agree. I think they themselves, just like many of us, right, are all at various levels grappling with the speed of change. And it's not just the change in consumer, it's a change in technology, a change in business models, a change in various tools that are being used to even do their day-to-day job. So all of that combined together, we have to make sure that we are conscious of it, and therefore enabling people to ensure that they are able to grapple with this change productively.
Thanks, Gunjan. Laliji, you or Anupam? We'll start with you then, because then there will be a carryover. So, you are more focused towards Bharat than India, and where do you see now? This is a growth-oriented question, and you can answer it the way you would feel it. But for a normal retailer, this more from their perspective, would it be prudent to concentrate more on the Bharat side of it today than the India side of it? Because you have mentioned that you are present in tier 2, 3, 4 towns. That's the reason. Because we are talking about growth.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the frequent question which get asked from investors and analysts, even for me. That's the opportunity, and that's what India holds. That is why the entire globe is eyeing towards India. What is big in India is the population of India. What is big in India? The young demographic of India. What is big in India? The consuming power of this India. And where does this India live? 80%, 75 to 80% of this India lives in that hinterland, which Gunjan is talking about. And that's where the urban as well as rural India is. And that is where, when I said about the per capita income rise, that's the per capita income rise which is going to come right from the bottom. Almost 38% of the people today are below the $5,000 earning group. So they are going to rise up. They are going to become 16%, and the top one is going to become much more bigger. So that's where the entire consumption is going to get driven from. And that's how India is going to grow. And if I look at this population and the kind of towns that we operate today, we also operate in a town which has a 100,000 population. So 100,000 is 1 lakh population. 1 lakh population ke India mein there are more than 2,000 towns in India which has such kind of population, which are affected population, both because even the villages people come to the districts and operate. So there is a huge potentiality when these people, the per capita income grows and these 1 lakh people consumes to their degree. I think there is the large amount of consumption flooding which is going to happen. And this is where we are eyeing, and this is where I think I would request everyone also to eye and look at. That's what you call Bharat, but we are seeing Bharat getting converted to India. That's where the Bharat customer who was dhoti wearing customer or pajama wearing customer or sari wearing customer is now turning towards India and are getting informed or have good understanding about who is their role model, what is there in the market, who is wearing what. We are watching same internet space. Whatever you are watching, they are also watching the same. Whatever serials that you are watching over television, they are also watching the same. Whatever movies that you are watching here, they are also watching the same. So the role model for them is also equally same. Their aspirations are also equally same. मैं तो बार-बार बोलता हूँ, एक किसान का बेटा भी जब कपड़ा खरीदना है तो पजामा नहीं खरीदता. He wants a jeans today. He wants a denim, and he want to buy the best denim which he could access at his pocket size. So that is what you need to provide. That is what you need to. This is not that India which is nanga pav or no, going barefooted. It is now. It wants slipper. It wants sneakers. It wants shoes. It wants all of that. That's a comfort, and that's a basic need. And that basic need, मैं बोलता हूँ दो जोड़ी कपड़ा और छत और खाना. That's the basic need. So that is required. And today, that basic need, when you convert with aspiration, will drive a lot of consumption. And that is where the opportunity for us, as well as the entire retail fraternity is. And that is what I think is a large opportunity for India. What everyone is seeing, we should also be able to see that.
This is the passion because of which he is valued at 5,000 crores. Okay. So thank you, Lalitji, for that. Beyond words to, and I totally agree with you. Actually, there is no difference between Bharat.
But there is also one fact that we need to also understand. When this Bharat is merging into India, these customers are also moving digital. So we need to also be very, very clear that it is just not going to be physical which is going to help us. There has to be a similar understanding about digital as well, and that also we need to develop, and that also we need to enable. Today it may look very small, it may look very irrelevant, but tomorrow it is going to become very important and vital for our survival also.
So as a visionary, you have already seen it, and we all are closely watching it and monitoring. Thanks, Lalitji. Anupam, Liberty also is a fantastic footwear brand, and we all have experienced over the years. What are your growth opportunities from the footwear market? If I have to ask you simply.
See, definitely it has been said. So instead of sounding repetitive, where digitalization and focus on tier through what Laliji said are very important. I think another aspect which I want to bring on the table is Liberty has been a traditionally manufacturing company, and a lot of manufacturing edge was getting lost because of a lot of imports coming from China. I think post-COVID, everybody realized the manufacturing sector and made in India is becoming effective. A lot of world is looking at India as a manufacturing hub. I think that's an important area which Liberty would like to focus, to have more control on the supply chain, to be able to transform and take the retail energy, what we are getting, and how do we learn from the retail and push back to manufacturing so that the replenishment or the repeat production is a lot faster and the supply chain is reduced, because that is very, very important for fashion. How do we use digital data to optimize both retail and manufacturing in terms of what consumer is demanding, to be on lean inventory and evolving ourselves with the changing fashion trends? I think athleisure is the new category, new brand which we introduced this season, Leap 7X. The trends are becoming very different, where the formal culture is reducing and the sports shoe or athleisure. I think those are the kind of product transformations which we feel will drive growth. We need to invest in constantly younger products, change the profile of the store. Typically, Liberty was more known for the black and brown category. How do we evolve to a more younger product segment? Various efforts have been done. The customer experience is very important. And like everybody is saying, nobody is doubting that digital penetration is the key to really expand. How do we constantly keep on evolving? There are so many technologies which get evolved every day. By the time you implement one, it already becomes dated. So I think to constantly review, analyze, and implement and evolve is what Liberty would keep on focusing.
Thanks, Anupam. That was insightful. With this, we have almost crossed the time limit. But I would request all our panelists to give 3 words or 3 mantras. Okay, questions please, because Laliji, we'll do a quick question answer session, please.
Dhruv, this is a question for you. You spoke about 72% of your consumers coming back to buy. I know you also said data analytics. You must have done the standard. Can you give me 2 unique things that you do to make it 72% high?
Yeah, I think one of the baseline, which you cannot ignore, but which is unsaid, is the product quality and shopping experience. Okay, so we spend back in Melbourne, in Australia, and through our manufacturers worldwide, there is a tremendous amount of work that goes into making product that is top of the line. So that's one part of it. You cannot take anything away from that. The second is we spend an enormous amount of energy on training our staff day in and day out. There are training programs every day. Like many other retail companies, we are also on the VUCA app, so a lot of work happens on that. And creating, I think, employee happiness is very important. Today, we are a great place to work for the second time in a year. We are also the top 10 places for women to work in India amongst mid-sized companies. And 65% of the employees in our companies are women. So they're charged up. They really believe, they're very passionate about the brand. So when you have a great product and you have great service, people are going to come back.
Great products and great services.
There is no other rocket science to it. Yes, there is technology at the back which is enabling a lot of new things today. For instance, home shopping and taking appointments and things like that. But at the crux of it, there is no getting away from the fact that till you don't have a great product and you continue to deliver on, like in retail, as they say in fashion, you're only as great as your previous collection. Okay, so you got to do a great job, repeat, do a great job, repeat. That's how life is.
Thanks, Dhruv. Last question, please.
Good morning, sir. My question is for Mr. Agarwal. Sir, I myself have been a retailer, and recently we have jumped from 1 to 5 stores. But seeing your company being a 20-year-old company, you've jumped to more than 412 stores today. So I would like to ask you, does it take for a store to jump from 5 to 50 stores?
Thank you. Yeah.
So I think Mr. Shah will be there answering this question better because he has jumped to 1700 stores in 19 years. But anyway, so as an entrepreneur, normally we have some fear. We have some fear, and we are used to certain habits of operation, of handling the operation, or controlling the business, or understanding the consumer, or understanding the product, and then the ways to service, and the fear over the control over the business, control over the cash, control over the inventory management. So I think largely we need to forego those fear and start delegating and start building processes and start bringing in some technology, because today it is much more easier than yesterday. So it is much more easier. There are multiple technology solutions which can make you visibly clear on product, which can provide you, but largely it is more about entrepreneur who has to change habits, and who has to really understand that delegation will not lead to ruining of business. It will lead to multiplying of business. But definitely what you can do as an entrepreneur may not be possible for a delegated author or employee to be done. So you can't have similar expectation out of from him. You have to adjust your own expectation and then delegate it to him, empower him with some decisions and some process guidelines as well, because that is also very important, which is there. And then definitely you need to be courageous to take those decisions to do it. That's it. Nothing else.
Thanks. Gunjan, last word from you.
No, just to add, square feet is different, so I think he still had the right to the answer. But just to add, I think one is the invariably a scale up, right? And especially from the kind of level to the level that you're talking about, is one is you will not be able to, you have to delegate. You have to get professionals to run those multiple points of distribution, sale, whatever they might be. The other piece I think he hinted towards is what goes hand in hand is that you will have to processize and systematize the things which otherwise intuitively you know how to run in a single store. Right. So that is very, very critical. They go hand in hand. You cannot delegate without processes and systems. And I'm sure he has gone through it.
Thanks, Gunjan, for this. With this, I think the session that we had going beyond traditional norms, what retailers are doing differently, and we saw what differently these guys are doing. And just a 1 minute summarization of what we have, heard in the last 45 minutes or so. We did hear about digital audit. We did about digitization of HR, resilience and grit of employees. Personalization, so whole loyalty program has been revamped or to be revamped. We have spoken about personalization, consumer segmentation, consumer engagement. How many of us are engaging our consumers? And this is something which I'm going to think tonight over it, how I'm also engaging my stakeholders. Encouraging online shopping. Now here we are, all the physical store guys are talking about encouraging online shopping. Now this is something which we'll never understand, but yes, you take 2 steps behind to shoot and go for a longer jump, and this is what it's exactly doing to encourage online shopping. Learning day to day. So learnings from day to day, whatever we learn, we have to implement it. Omni obviously is there. People challenge and product innovation have to be addressed, and product innovation is a continuous effort. Consumer awareness is high. Consumer has become more demanding, so price value equation is there and has changed. Have you adopted that change of price value equation? Consciousness and amongst the consumers and the impatience amongst the consumers have gone up. We have seen building the brand, there is no imperative for that. Consciousness is there. Aspiring consumer, we saw what Lalitji did mention about hinterland India. The experience is high and the same design, they look for design. How are we going to turn around our businesses? How efficient has been our supply chain? How do we redefine business models? Obviously, the formula for becoming 400 store from 5 is courage, fear, and habits. obviously you have to delegate and have processes. And there are a couple of more. But with this, we would like to end today's session. I hope you all have got some more insights from this. I thank my panelists for sharing all these wonderful insights. It was excellent experience for me as well. Thank you.